Welcome to the AquaTrip Plumbers Installation Training video, Part 4, Commissioning the AT301D. We will start by installing the batteries into the control panel, and then we will set the clock. To set the clock, press the OK menu button. The setup menu will appear on the screen. Use the up arrow to scroll through to the clock and then follow the prompts. The clock setting is very important as the clock runs all the other functions of the AquaTrip. Now we will install the control unit batteries. This can be done before or after you screw the control unit into the shutoff valve. Remove the lid by squeezing the clips and gently rocking the lid from side to side. When you insert the batteries, the first display will be the software code AU, software version, e.g. 6.3, and model type B or E. None of these values can be changed. To change any of the default settings which follow, press and hold the button with the default setting you want to change is displayed, and the alternate setting will display. Release the button immediately you see the option you want. If you make a mistake with any of the programming, remove the battery holder, hold down the push button for 10 seconds to clear the memory and release. Now we're going to change any default settings if required. The first default setting we can change is the liter pulse rate. This setting is only relevant if you're connecting the AquaTrip to the water meter for indoor display of your water consumption and cost. Press and hold the button to change between 0.5, 1, 5, 10 and 100 and release the button when you see your desired setting. You'll need to know the liter pulse rate for the water meter that you're connecting to. So for example, half a litre per pulse, or 5 litres per pulse, or 10 litres per pulse, and so on. PU stands for pump mode. This mode must be enabled if you're fitting the AquaTrip to a pumped water supply that does not utilize a header pressure vessel, i.e. no air tank on the pump. Press and hold the button to change between yes or no. On some pump supplies, it may be necessary to put a backflow valve to prevent backflow and pressure variations interfering with the AquaTrip flow sensor. Auto reset. The auto reset function only appears if the exclusion period is turned on. This function is designed for public washrooms, and it allows the AquaTrip to automatically turn the water back on if it has been previously tripped. While the exclusion period is active, all water use is ignored. Outside of the exclusion period, if a leak is detected, the water will shut off. However, if automatic reset is turned on, when the next exclusion period begins, even if the leak is still present, the water will automatically be turned back on again so the facility can be used, even with the leak still present. System check procedure. Firstly, the flow sensor test. Turn on a tap so the water is flowing continuously at a slow trickle of at least 40 to 50 mils or 1 to 1.5 ounces per minute. This is when a drip just becomes a constant trickle. On the control button, press the button once. FL should appear, confirming the sensor can see the flow. If BT battery test appears, it means the flow sensor cannot see the flow. Check the control unit is firmly screwed into the valve and test again. If need be, increase the flow slightly and retest. If flow now registers, then scale the flow back to 40 to 50 mil and check the flow sensor again. Next, we're going to do the water shut-off test. Turn the tap on again. Then press and hold down the button. First, FL for flow will appear to let you know the sensor can see the flow. Hold the button down until system check is displayed. Then immediately release the button. The display will switch from SC to a 60-second countdown timer. Once the counter reaches 0, the water will shut off. At 0, the display will go out and the control unit will trip the shutoff valve and shut off the water. This checks that the shutoff valve is working correctly. Next, the water reset test. Now the water has shut off. Press the reset button and the water will come on. You should hear a click as the control unit signals the shutoff valve to open and the water begins flowing again. The leak detection test. Turn the tap on again. Press and hold the button down. First FL will appear to let you know the sensor can see the flow. Hold the button down until SC is displayed, then immediately release the button. The flow sensor will start the countdown from 60 seconds. Now turn off the tap to stop the water flow. The countdown will stop as soon as the sensor can no longer see the flow. This should be within 30 or so seconds of turning off the tap. If the display does not go out before reaching 0, it means the sensor is still sensing flow on the property somewhere. Check for taps dripping or taps left running or leaking toilets, etc. As long as the sensor sees water flowing, the countdown will continue. As soon as the water stops flowing, the countdown stops. The flow sensor functionality test. If the flow sensor continues to detect water flow and you are sure there is no water flowing anywhere, you need to check the flow sensor is working correctly. To do this, turn on a tap. Hold down the button until you see SC and let the countdown start. But this time, turn off the main incoming tap to the property during the 60-second countdown, and the countdown should stop immediately as you're cutting off the main supply. If the countdown continues on down to 0, even after the main supply is cut, it means the flow sensor must be jammed or damaged or the control unit needs servicing. Fast test mode. An even quicker fast test mode is available to assist with installation. With water flowing, hold down the button until you see FT and then release. The AquaTrip will shut off the water immediately. Control panel radio range test. The valve must be tripped for the radio range test to be done. So, turn on the tap, then go to the control unit, hold the button down until you see FT for fast test and release. Shortly after you release the button, the water will turn off. You can now conduct the range test. Now press Menu OK on the control panel and scroll through to the radio range test menu. Then press OK. The control panel will now detect the signal from the control unit every 15 seconds and indicate the signal strength as a percentage. Start by standing next to the shutoff valve for the first reading and then walk towards your desired control panel mounting position, retesting as you go. If the radio range is insufficient because of excessive distance or geophysical shielding, or the control unit is underground, you can plug the optional extra antenna into the accessory port on the control unit to improve radio reception. Follow the instructions with the antenna to maximize the radio range. When mounting the antenna into the accessory port, take care to align the keyway on the antenna with the keyway on the accessory port. If you do not, the antenna will not make connection. You can control the AquaTrip AT301D from the wireless panel. This is a quick guide to the buttons on the control panel and some of the menu display screens you will see when you use these buttons. The Reset Water button. Pressing this button turns the water back on if the AquaTrip has tripped and turned the water off. The Info button. This button shows the system status, including the radio signal strength, the longest flow time, the last time the AquaTrip was tripped, the leak counter, battery strength, the night watch status, the away watch status, and any current warnings or custom settings. The Home Away button. This button will switch the system between home mode and away mode. In away mode, the flow time is reduced to 3 minutes. The Override button. This button will put the system into an inactive state for 3 hours. During that time, all flow times are overridden and water can flow continuously for the 3-hour period. The OK menu button. This is the setup button for all the programmable functions. The flow time menu, the exclusion period or sleep mode, water off, the clock, the leak counter, the night watch, the away watch, the wetness sensor setup, and the radio range test. Emergency manual override. In an emergency, to completely override the system for unrestricted water flow, rotate the white control unit 1/2 turn anti-clockwise. The system will now be fully disabled and there will be no leak detection function. To re-engage the system, rotate the control unit clockwise until you feel it stiffen and it seats firmly. Remember to conduct a system check to confirm it's engaged correctly. Wireless wetness sensor. You can add optional wireless wetness sensors to the system. The sensors can be placed in locations where burst pipes or leaks are more likely, like behind dishwashers and washing machines. These sensors can be linked wirelessly to the AquaTrip, and if any of them detect a leak, they will signal the control unit, which will then shut off the water within 1 minute. Refer to the installation guide and the owner's manual for full details on the other features and functions of the AT301D. Remember to fill in the installation checklist with the customer once you've finished the installation. Leave the installation guide and the owner's manual with the customer.